Have you ever wondered why certain people just get under your skin? Or why, sometimes, you seem to sabotage your own success? Well, we all have a hidden side. And today, we're diving deep into this idea of shadow work, to really understand that hidden part of ourselves and why exploring it might just be the key to becoming who you're truly meant to be.
Okay, so first things first, let's clear something up. The term shadow work is kind of confusing because it has two totally different meanings. Economists use it to talk about all the unpaid jobs we do now, like scanning our own groceries. But that's not what we're talking about. We're focused on the psychological one, that inner journey to the parts of ourselves we've hidden away, sometimes even from ourselves.
So here's our game plan. We're going to break down what the psychological shadow actually is, see how it gets created in the first place, and then talk about the real cost of just ignoring it. After that, we'll get to the good stuff, the potential you can unlock. I'll even give you a map for your first steps, and we'll wrap up with a quick challenge to see what you've learned.
So, what is this psychological shadow really? Just think of it like a journey into all the parts of you that are running the show right below the surface of your awareness. This idea comes from the legendary psychiatrist Carl Jung. He said, the shadow self is basically everything we deny in ourselves and shove down into our unconscious. It's where we hide all the impulses and traits we think are bad, like rage or envy or greed. It's not that these things are necessarily evil, they're just disowned.
Now, this shadow doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. Oh no, it is carefully built, piece by piece, starting when we're kids. It's like this invisible bag we all end up carrying around.
Think back to when you were a little kid. Every single time you were told a tantrum was bad or being selfish was wrong, you were learning something. To get that approval from parents and teachers, to feel safe and like you belong, you learned really fast to push those unacceptable parts of yourself way, way out of sight.
The poet Robert Bly had this perfect image for it. He said, we put all these unwanted parts into an invisible bag and drag it behind us. But, and this is the most important part, just because those feelings are in the bag doesn't mean they're gone, not even close.
Instead, they start to leak out, and they do it in this really fascinating way called projection. This is when we unconsciously see our own hidden traits in other people. So, that person at work whose arrogance just drives you up the wall? Well, Jungian psychology would say that's a huge clue that maybe, just maybe, you've disowned a similar quality in yourself.
So, what's the big deal? What happens if we just keep ignoring the shadow? What if that invisible bag just gets heavier and heavier? Well, the consequences can be way more serious than you think. When your shadow isn't integrated, it can show up as anxiety, depression, or just that nagging feeling of low self-worth. It's why we sometimes self-sabotage our own best efforts, get into the same fights over and over, and just feel fake, like we're not living as our true selves. It's like you're in a constant, hidden war with a part of yourself.
The story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is the perfect metaphor for this. You have this super respectable guy, Dr. Jekyll, who tries to completely cut off his darker side. But what happens? He doesn't destroy it. He accidentally creates Mr. Hyde, this monster he absolutely cannot control. See, denying the shadow doesn't get rid of it. It just means you lose any conscious control over it.
But hey, this isn't all doom and gloom. Not at all. Facing your shadow isn't just about avoiding problems. It's actually about discovering the treasure that's been hidden in the darkness all along.
And the benefits, they are huge. When you start to integrate your shadow, all sorts of amazing things can happen. Your relationships get better because you're not projecting your stuff onto other people. You feel more confident. You even have more physical energy because you're not wasting it trying to keep things buried. It can unlock your creativity and lead you to this incredible feeling of being a whole, complete person.
And this really gets to the heart of what Jung was all about. He basically said that true growth, true enlightenment, doesn't come from just thinking positive thoughts and imagining figures of light. No, it comes from doing the hard, messy, and sometimes uncomfortable work of looking into your own darkness and making it conscious.
Now, it's really important to point out that this idea of integrating your darkness isn't the only perspective out there. For instance, some Christian critiques argue that you don't find wholeness by mixing the dark parts in. From that point of view, real transformation comes from rejecting sin and darkness and being made new through faith. It's a really fundamental difference in how to approach the path to healing.
Okay, I know this can all sound a little abstract and out there, so let's bring it down to earth. If you're curious about this, where on earth do you even start?
Well, the philosopher Ken Wilber came up with a really simple but powerful process to begin. First, you face it. Think of a person or a trait that just triggers a really strong reaction in you. Second, you talk to it. Literally, in a journal, have a conversation with that trait. Ask it questions. What do you want? What are you trying to tell me? Third, and this part's a little weird, but stick with me, you have to be it. You embody that quality. You actually say the words, I am angry or I am jealous, and just feel what it's like. And finally, you own it. By experiencing it as a part of you, you start the process of taking back all that lost energy.
All right, we have covered a ton of ground. So before we wrap this up, how about a quick pop quiz just to lock in these ideas? You ready? First one. When you feel that intense, almost irrational irritation at something someone else does, what do we call that?
Yep, you got it. That's projection. That big emotional charge is your clue that you're probably looking at a disowned piece of your own shadow.
Okay, question 2. When does that invisible bag of ours first start getting filled up?
Exactly. It all starts back in childhood, when we're learning which parts of us get us love and belonging, and which parts get shoved into the bag. And for our last question, after all this tough work, what is one of the biggest, most profound rewards?
At the end of the day, the prize is authenticity and wholeness. It's about becoming a complete, integrated version of yourself so you can stop fighting that internal war and just be you.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. The shadow isn't just a junk drawer for our flaws. It can also hold our hidden strengths, our creativity, our power, what some people call the golden shadow. So the real question is, now that you know what to look for, where will you start looking for your own hidden gold? Thanks for joining me on this explainer.